Welcome to my channel, Real Mission Stories. Some events in history never reach the light of day. They remain locked behind steel doors, sealed in reports marked, classified, their truth buried beneath signatures and silence. Today, you'll hear one of those stories, a mission that began with laughter and ended with the kind of quiet that only those who've seen too much truly understand. It's the story of the woman they called Night Fox. It began on a gray, wind-bitten morning at Coronado. The sky hung low, heavy with mist, and the ocean crashed against the shore like distant thunder. Inside the SEALs' main briefing hall, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The men were loud, teasing, shoving, their voices echoing off the steel walls. They had all heard the rumor that a woman was joining the Advanced Tactics Evaluation Unit. Most laughed it off. Some were curious. A few were offended. None of them believed she'd last a week. Then the door opened. The noise died instantly. She walked in, no swagger, no hesitation, no attempt to prove anything. Her uniform was spotless, her posture straight, her gaze unwavering. She wasn't tall or physically intimidating, but there was something in her stillness that pulled the air out of the room. It wasn't arrogance. It was control. At the far end, the admiral sat in silence, watching. 20 years of command had carved lines into his face and turned his hands into maps of old scars. He had seen warriors from every corner of the world, but there was something in this one, a kind of calm that couldn't be faked. He leaned back, a half-smile curling under his breath. "So tell me, Lieutenant," he said, voice low and testing, "what's your call sign?" The men chuckled, expecting her to blush or stammer. Instead, she answered, steady and sharp as glass. "Night Fox, sir." The laughter died. The admiral raised an eyebrow. "Night Fox, huh? That sounds like a comic book character." She said nothing, didn't even blink. The silence stretched, pressing on the room until the admiral's grin faded. He looked down at his papers, then back up at her. "All right then, Night Fox," he said finally. "Let's see if you can run with the wolves." The first day of training began before dawn. The ocean was black, cold enough to burn the skin. The drills were designed to destroy the weak, endless swims through freezing surf, log carries across miles of sand, push-ups until arms shook uncontrollably. One by one, men started dropping, groaning, cursing under their breath. But not her. When the team hit the water, she was the first to emerge, dripping and silent. When they carried heavy logs on their shoulders, she took the lead position, the hardest one, and never said a word. The instructors watched closely, waiting for signs of weakness. There were none. The others began whispering among themselves. "She doesn't sleep. She doesn't eat. She's like a machine." But machines don't bleed, and they don't stare out at the ocean when everyone else collapses. She did. Every night, long after the others had passed out, she sat alone on the sand, eyes fixed on the horizon. The waves moved around her like they were afraid to touch her shadow. No one ever asked what she was thinking. No one dared. One evening, the admiral called his instructors into his office. "What's her story?" he asked. The senior trainer shrugged. "Sir, we tried to pull her records. Half the files redacted. Clearance denied." The admiral frowned. "Denied? For me?" "Yes, sir. Top-tier clearance only." That single sentence told him everything he needed to know. She'd operated somewhere far above his pay grade, the kind of missions that lived only in rumors. The next morning, he decided to test her himself. During a close-quarters combat session, he stepped into the mat circle. "You and me, Night Fox," he said. "Let's see what you've got." The men grinned, whispering, ready for a show. The whistle blew. Before anyone could blink, she moved. A blur of precision, one twist, one pivot, and the admiral found himself on the ground, arm pinned so tight he couldn't move. It was over in less than 3 seconds. She released him, stepped back, and waited quietly. The admiral rose, straightened his sleeve, and said nothing. Neither did she. But every man watching understood, the game had changed. From that day forward, no one joked when she entered a room. The mockery was gone, replaced by respect no one had to explain. Weeks passed. The team advanced into live simulations, rescue operations, real explosives, full-speed drills. During one such mission, a chopper malfunctioned, cutting communication mid-flight. The team was stranded in the desert under simulated fire, chaos spreading fast. Then her voice came over the radio, calm, precise, unshaken. Team Bravo, move to Sector 2. Suppression fire in 3, 2, now. Her words snapped everyone into formation. Within minutes, they secured the objective and completed extraction. Every movement was flawless. Even the instructors stood speechless. When they returned to base, the Admiral was waiting by the hangar doors. "You led that like you've done it before," he said. She looked at him and replied simply, "I have, sir." In that instant, he realized, she wasn't training to be one of them. She already was, and she had been for a very long time. 3 days later, an unmarked helicopter touched down on the tarmac. 2 men in suits stepped out, holding orders sealed in black envelopes. "We're here for Lieutenant Fox," one said. "She's under my command," the Admiral replied firmly. The man shook his head. Not anymore. That night, she was gone. Her bunk, empty. Her locker, spotless. The only thing left behind was a folded note on her bed. The Admiral opened it slowly. "Sir, thank you for letting me remember what peace sounds like, Night Fox." Weeks rolled by. Training continued, but the hallways felt quieter. Every so often, the Admiral would walk past her empty room, stop, and stare at the door. He told himself it was just another soldier moving on. But deep down, he knew better. Then, one night, the phone on his desk rang. The voice on the other end was the Secretary of Defense. "Admiral, we've got a covert team requesting emergency extraction behind enemy lines. Mission code, Night Fox." The Admiral's heart froze. "She's alive." "Yes," came the reply. "And she's leading them." 2 weeks later, a figure walked into the base under moonlight. Torn uniform, dirt across her face, eyes steady as ever. The guards saluted instinctively. She nodded once and kept walking. The Admiral stepped forward. "Welcome home, Night Fox." "Mission complete, sir," she said softly. "You saved 9 hostages, didn't you?" he asked. 10, sir. You forgot the pilot." He smiled faintly. "You always notice what others don't." She gave a quiet nod and disappeared into the barracks. The next morning, the Admiral addressed his men. "I once asked her what her call sign was," he said. "Now you know why they call her Night Fox. She doesn't speak loudly, because her silence commands more than words ever could." That day, the men learned something deeper than strength or rank, that real respect isn't demanded. It's earned, quietly, through resilience and heart. Months later, when the Admiral retired, he found a small envelope waiting on his desk. Inside was a silver coin engraved with a fox and a single line, "For those who fight in the dark so others can sleep in the light." He didn't need to ask who sent it. He already knew. Years passed, and recruits whispered stories about a woman who once made an admiral fall silent with nothing but a look. Some said she still worked missions no one would ever hear about, moving through the world like a shadow. And on certain nights, when the tide was high and the moon cut across the water, some swore they saw her silhouette standing by the shore, calm, unmoving, watching over them. Because not all heroes wear medals. Some just walk through the darkness so the rest of us never have to. And that was the legend of Night Fox, the soldier who taught the world that silence can be louder than gunfire, and courage doesn't need applause to be real. If her story moved you, honor her the same way she lived, with quiet strength. Like, comment, and subscribe to Real Mission Stories for more true tales from the unseen corners of history.